Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me here today. We're going to be looking at Psalms chapter 5 in just a minute. If you are watching this on Instagram as a story or a reel, or I can't remember what it's called, links in the bio to the YouTube channel. This is being recorded today, and I will release this short opening today, but the video actually will come out the following morning at 5 a.m. I think. So you can join us there. I think I've just found that's the easiest way for me to do this, rather than trying to post a big long video to Instagram or Facebook. But we'll just see how it goes. But I'm enjoying doing them. I'm thankful to all who are watching and getting involved, and reaching out and commenting and encouraging me to keep doing it. Praise the Lord for this opportunity to study the Bible and get in His Word. So, before we get in His Word, I just wanted to make a couple comments that I was thinking about. And one is, I'm doing this certainly not to try to gain followers or anything like that on social media platforms. I'm doing it because I want Jesus to be seen in me, and I truly desire that. I truly desire to be conformed, to be like God's Son Jesus, and that He will be seen in me in all things. And people who interact with me, when they walk away, I pray that they are thinking about Jesus Christ and their relationship with Him. And so my goal is to bring people who are not believers or who are believers into the Word, into the book, to bring them encouragement, to show how Jesus Christ is in every page of this Bible, and that He is the King of all things, of our world, and that He is to be praised, He is to be worshiped, and our God is good and gracious and merciful. But I just noticed that already in the few days I've been doing this, how just getting the infrastructure of getting the videos posted and all that stuff, and just kind of the excitement around doing something like this for me can take away from the main reason that I started doing it. So I'm just bringing that up as a reminder to myself and to this audience that the goal is really about Jesus, and I need to make sure I stay focused on that and not get carried away in trying to get more people to watch. If no one watches, going through this study and recording it has great value for me. It brings me closer to Jesus as well, and it's something I can leave also for my children. I did think about that. That's one of the beautiful things about technology. So if you've done a podcast or you're doing videos or something like this, it's out there now, and your children, your family in the future can access those things and see what your thoughts were on topics, which I think is a pretty cool and interesting thing. One other quick point before we dive into this. So I think I have mentioned I'm currently reading Psalms a lot, and I'm trying to read through the whole book every month, which is about 5 a day. And so I'm such a task-oriented person that sometimes just getting the task done can take the place of the reason that I'm actually doing it. And the reason I'm actually doing it is because there's so much good, helpful things in the book of Psalms that has been so beneficial to me over the past year or year and a half, or however long it's been that I've really gotten into the Psalms. And so I got to Psalms 119, which is the longest chapter in the Bible, and it's very long. And I get to that chapter and I think, well, I'm not going to get my 5 in today, and I just need to, and I just want to rush through that Psalms 119. And it's so easy to do that because you get, or if you're like me, you get focused on just getting the task done so you can check that off your list. But I want to encourage myself and everyone to not be like that, to slow down, because Psalm 119 is an amazing chapter. So what I actually have done to make myself slow down on it is just read one section, or read a few sections at a time, and then go past Psalm 119 and read further chapters so I can really take it in. And let me just, and so far all the sections that I have read in Psalm 119, it's very similar to Psalm 19, where he's just imploring the Lord to teach him his ways and his statutes. And there's just beautiful language in this chapter. So this morning, for example, not to get us way off track, but he says, "Teach me, O Lord, the way of your statutes, and I will keep it to the end. Give me understanding that I may keep your law and observe it with my whole heart. Lead me in the path of your commandments, for I delight in it. Incline my ear to your testimonies, and not to selfish gain. Turn my eyes from looking at worthless things, and give me life in your ways. Confirm to your servant your promise, that you may be feared. Turn away the reproach that I dread. For your rules are good. Behold, I long for your precepts. In your righteousness, give me life." And I just am reading it this time, and I'm thinking, man, last month when I got to Psalm 119, I think I just raced through it. And I remember thinking after I read it, like, I should stop and go back and read that again, because there was some really valuable things in that chapter that I just missed in the name of trying to get through it so I could stay on track. So the point is, don't be so caught up in just getting your reading done that we miss what the text says, because the text is just, it's amazing the things that are in here. So for example, I was in Psalm 125 through 130 this morning, and if my goal is just to get it done, we miss so much. Listen to some random verses from some of the chapters I read this morning, and how comforting and how encouraging some of these verses are. From Psalms 125. "Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved, but abides forever. As the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people from this time forth and forevermore." Let's see. Psalm 127. "Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep. Children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gates. All right, here's just one more verse, and then we'll actually get to what we're talking about today. Psalm 128. Blessed is everyone who fears the Lord, who walks in his ways. Love this next verse. You shall eat the fruit of the labor of your hands. You shall be blessed, and it shall be well with you. And there's actually that whole chapter is good. Psalm 128. But it's just we've got to remember how easy it is for us to turn these checklist things into just getting them done, and we can read and we can be miles away in our head, but we need to focus in, because we're turning to this book to guide us, to teach us, to bring us encouragement, to change our focus from ourselves to on God. And we got to set aside the cares of the world and whatever we're racing through, so we can get to whatever it is that we need to do next, and set it aside so we can really focus in on what God has to say to us in his book. So anyway, let's read Psalm 5. I'll try to keep comments short if I have any, since I've spent 10 minutes talking about other things. So this is Psalm 5 to the choir master, for the flutes, a psalm of David. Give ear to my words, O Lord. Consider my groaning. Give attention to the sound of my cry, my King and my God. For to you do I pray. O Lord, in the morning you hear my voice. In the morning I prepare a sacrifice for you and watch. For you are not a God who delights in wickedness. Evil may not dwell with you. The boastful shall not stand before your eyes. You hate all evildoers. You destroy those who speak lies. The Lord abhors the bloodthirsty and the deceitful man. But I, through the abundance of your steadfast love, will enter your house. I will bow down toward your holy temple in the fear of you. Lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness because of my enemies. Make your way straight before me. For there is no truth in their mouth. Their inmost self is destruction. Their throat is an open grave. They flatter with their tongue. Make them bear their guilt, O God. Let them fall by their own counsels. Because of the abundance of their transgressions, cast them out, for they have rebelled against you. But let all who take refuge in you rejoice. Let them ever sing for joy and spread your protection over them, that those who love your name may exult in you. For you bless the righteous, O Lord, and you cover him with favor as with a shield. That's Psalm 5, Psalm of David. So, again in this chapter, he's in a situation that he's in often, where he's dealing with people who are not righteous, who are not holy, and he's calling on God and his holiness, and he's setting that against those of the world, the evildoers, and he's contrasting those, and he is making comments about those of the world and how they are evil and what they are actually like in comparison to God. So he's in the beginning, similar to the last couple Psalms, he's calling out to God to hear him, give ear to my words, consider my groaning, give attention to my cry. And he's calling out to him he prays, his God and his King. And he's asking him to hear his voice, that he's going to make a sacrifice to the Lord, and he's going to watch and wait for the Lord to hear his groaning, to hear his plea. He makes his sacrifice and will wait on the Lord and watch for the Lord. And he is reminding himself again, and he is also, I think, reminding God that God is not someone who delights in wickedness, and evil has no place with God. The boastful will not stand before him. God hates evildoers. He will destroy those who are liars, and he abhors those who are bloodthirsty and deceitful. And he's reminding himself that is who God is. So even though he faces challenges from those who seem like they prosper, from those who seem like they keep moving forward and gaining ground on him, that will not last, because God does not tolerate the bloodthirsty. He does not tolerate the boastful. He does not delight in the wicked. He hates them. He abhors them. And they will not stand before him. And he does not delight in them. Even though on the outside it can look that way. And I think we can sometimes fall into the same trap today with things like abortion, and because it mentions bloodthirsty here, and that's just what pops into my head. But I mean, we have lived in a bloodthirsty society for abortion and have killed, I believe, tens of millions of babies over the past however many years it has been. And we should have been, we did have the overturning of Roe v. Wade, but even past that and before that, we should have been making this same prayer to our God and calling out to him. God, we know you do not delight in the bloodthirsty. We know you actually abhor the bloodthirsty and you hate them, and they have no place with you. So even though they talk boldly and they think there is no law above themselves, we know that is not so. We know that you are the ultimate law. We know that you will judge them, and we remind ourselves that you will bring that judgment on this world, and righteousness will be done. Your will be done. They will bow before you. And then he says, I, through the abundance of your steadfast love, will enter your house. I will bow down toward your holy temple in the fear of you. Lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness because of my enemies. Make your ways straight before me. So he's asking God, in my opinion, that I don't want to be like these these evil, bloodthirsty men who are proud and arrogant and think they have it all figured out. No, I will come into your house and offer my sacrifice, and I will bow before you, and I pray and I ask that you show me your way, make your paths straight before me. I don't want to be like them. I want to be your servant and draw my strength from you, because there is no truth in their mouth. Their inmost self is destruction. Their throat is an open grave, it says. Make them bear their guilt, O God. Let them fall by their own counsels. Because of the abundance of their transgressions, cast them out, for they have rebelled against you. And what he's saying there is actually, I believe, what always happens. Make them bear their guilt, O God, and let them fall by their own counsels. If they trust in themselves, they will have no choice but to only fall and fall to ruin. And the abundance of their transgressions will find them out, and they will be judged, because they cannot rebel against God and live. But he finishes it, as always, as we've seen so far, by reminding that those who take refuge in God rejoice, and let them ever sing for joy, those who take refuge in God. And then he asks God, spread your protection over them, that those who love your name may exult, be joyous in you. For you bless the righteous, O Lord, and you cover him with favor as with a shield. So comforting, because we are not in the same circumstance as David often, but we see this in our lives every day. The wicked seem to prosper. The wicked seem to never get their due. But God is not slack concerning his promises. You reap what you sow. They will get what is coming to them. Not that we take joy in their demise, for we want them to turn to Christ. But we want to see God and his will elevated. That is our motivation for praying these prayers, because these rebellious men who run our nation, these rebellious women who are in these places of authority, men and women who discard God completely, cast out all of his perfect works and ways, and do not seek to make their paths straight before the Lord. They seem to continue in prosperity and gain more power and wealth and riches because that's all they care about. And so we don't want to be jealous of that, because our treasure is laid up in heaven. But we need to be zealous for the Lord, that they are not looking to him, they are looking to themselves for answers. And tell me if this is not true of the leadership in our nation on any level. Their throat is an open grave, and they flatter with their tongue. Their inmost self is destruction, for there is no truth in their mouth. Tell me if that's not accurate representation of what is perceived as the ruling class in our country. But let's finish by reading those last two verses again, and just really think about the comfort you can draw from them. Let all who take refuge in you, God, rejoice. Let them ever sing for joy. and spread your protection over them, that those who love your name may exult in you. For you bless the righteous, O Lord. You cover him with favor as with a shield. Cover us with your shield, Lord. Protect us. Bring us protection. Let us pray that God will bring judgment on this nation, to turn it back to himself, to turn our nation to a nation that serves him and seeks to do his will and recognizes that he is the creator of all things and we are subject to him and we can do nothing apart from him. Have a good day. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you tomorrow.